Let's talk about methods in Java. This is a very powerful concept and you should learn it as a programmer in Java. Hello everyone, this is Andrew Reza. Welcome to the Mentor Code Lab. Remember the very first time we opened the project, we saw this mumbo jumbo and I told you that don't mind it. We will come back to these later. We will cover this line today. We will learn about methods. What are the methods? How to add a method? What are the parameters, different parameter types, and everything related to a method. Now, a method is a block of code which only runs when it is called. You can pass data as parameters into a method and then use those parameters inside the method code. Remember, a very good practice is to keep your method very functionally unique. What does it mean? If you do 5 different things inside your program, you can put all those 5 different functionalities inside one method call. However, a very good practice is to make each method a module that you will run separately. So each method is dedicated to only one known functionality. In our example, you will have 5 different methods, each one of them handling one aspect of your program. Now, how do we define a method? We give an accessibility like public, private, protected. We will talk about them later, don't worry. Or if you want to, we have a theoric video about accessibility. You can take a look into them. So let's say that our method is private. Then we can give it a return type. The return type is either void or any known user-defined types, for example, integers, strings, I don't know, floats, doubles, booleans, or if we defined an enum, don't worry if you don't know what enums are, we will come back to them, or anything else. Basically, we are returning a type, or if we are not returning anything outside of the method, it's void. And then we will type the name, my method, for example, or I don't know, print value. And this parentheses indicate the parameters. So your parameters will come inside these parentheses, but let's keep it simple for time being. All we are doing, we say system.out.println something, and that's it. Now, if I run the code now, you see that nothing happens. We don't see this something. And our method name is grayed out because we are not calling this. Remember, method and the code inside the method is only executed when you call the method. Main here is a method. But in Java's programming, especially the console programming, main is a very special method. This means that whenever you run the program, it will look into the main class and run this main method in it. If we want to call our method at the program execution time, we can say print value with parentheses and a semicolon. Now remember, we have a problem here, and you see that it gives us an error indication. If we come here, it says private static void blah. Why is it giving us this hint? Well, remember, main is static. Now, statics, we have covered them in theory in another video, but if I want to give you a little bit of briefing, is one instance run on all the objects of the type of main class. They are not getting instantiated over and over and over. However, when a method or a class is static, it can't call non-static methods. Basically, if you want to call a method from another static method, you have to make this method static. And if you look, the hint here says that, hey, make private value method static. And if we do that, it adds a static keyword here before the return type. Now the program is okay. Now we can run it. And all we are doing is just calling this method. The method will be called and the code inside the method would be executed, whatever it is. And the result will be not returned back because we are not returning anything. What if we want to return something? We can say that, hey, I want to return a string. Now you see that we have an error on this closing curly brace. And if you move your mouse here, it says missing return statement. When you are asking for a return type, your method, at the end of the method, should use keyword return and return something. Now here we are expecting a string. So let's return, this is the return string. Okay, now let's run the program. Again, you will see this something and nothing else is happening. However, because we are returning something, we can cache it inside a variable. So we say string return or result equals to this. And then we can print the result. Now, what will happen? First, we are calling the method here. So the method will print this, it will return this, and will be cached inside result. Then it will go to this line and print this. So we should see something, and then this is the return string blah. And that's exactly what happens. This is a very basic method call and method definition here. Your accessibility, if it's static or not, the method return type, the method name. However, this method by itself is not very useful. We can use this method to accept some parameters. Now, parameters are the information we are giving the method to be used inside the method. Sometimes we can reference our parameter, and that means that if we change it inside the code, outside, it will be changed. Don't worry about reference types. We will come back to them later, maybe. But here, a very easy way is to say, hey, we want to say this is the param. We want to send this one into the method. But if you look, it says expected 0 arguments, but found 1. Means that we were defining our method to accept no parameters, no arguments. But here we are sending 1 in, and it gives us hint, add the string as first parameter to method print value. If you click it, it will look into the usage and it will add something here. It adds the parameter as this, the type and the name. Let's call it value, okay? And you see now that it may not be so obvious inside the video, but it types value colon here. Remember, I didn't type it. If I change the name here and type 1, it automatically becomes value 1. If I remove the 1, it automatically updates itself. This is a hint provided by IntelliJ IDEA. We can turn it off if we want to, but it's a good thing to have because sometimes when we read the code, we are confused. Hey, what was this? And we say that, oh, it's the value. Let's change it to print value. When I look at my code on top, I see that, hey, this parameter is a print value type. If I chose this name carefully, this will hint that this parameter should do something like that, or this, or whatever. Now I can just simply use this print value instead of something. Let's copy this, and then this is the second call. This is the third call. And I'm not gonna use the return value, just the result first. So let's run the application, and you see that it runs, this is the param, it prints it out because I sent it as data inside the method and it's being used here and then returns the value. The returned value will be used here when I go to the end of the method. However, between these two lines of the code, now I'm calling the method 2 more times. So you see this is the param, second, third, and finally I'm using the returned result of the first call and it's here. This is one way of sending in params. Now, I can say that, hey, I want integers, but putting 3 dots, and I will call it params. Now, what is this 3 dot means? It means that, hey, I am gonna accept as many integers as possible inside this argument. Now, this is a little bit neglected in normal programming. We don't use it that much. However, we are seeing this string array arguments. This is the main. Now let's come back to this main method and talk about these params. As I said, you can accept any known type as your parameter. So our main method here is accepting an array of strings and it's called args. Of course, by default, your Java application is not sending in any arguments. However, if you compile this and run it inside, for example, command console, you may have this Java tutorial, for example, and then we can give arguments like v. You had seen these sort of commands that has arguments. And this is exactly the job of this string array of arguments. And that's when we use this syntax. So we can handle it. Of course, we need to check if the arguments has any values here. We say if, for example, args.length is greater than 0. This means that we have some arguments. Then we can look through them and handle different conditions. For example, we say for string arg inside args, do something. Now we check if arg equals to dash dash v. That means that, hey, we are sending in this dash dash v and do whatever you want. We know that we sent in the parameter, for example, we can say, you have seen it, don't you? For example, Python or many other languages has this dash dash v for versioning. We can print version column plus, I don't know, for example, 0.0.0.1. Why not? Of course, I'm not going to run this application from the console, but this is the concept here. So you can send arguments for your main class as the parameter for this method. And then you can check the length, loop through them, check each argument, handle the arguments. And that is a beauty of sending in parameters to a method, because when you are doing it, you don't know if the user will send in something or not. For example, when we run the application from IntelliJ IDEA, we are not sending in any arguments. So the length will be 0. Of course, this is yelling at me now. It says it's redundant. Why is it redundant? Because when you use for each loop, it checks if it has anything in it. If it's empty, then this code will be bypassed and will be not executed. For example, we can remove these curly braces and this code will execute without any issues. Now check, we don't print this because we didn't provide any arguments. The arguments are empty. But if we would run this application from Windows command prompt, for example, and we would give dash dash v as argument, then of course we would see everything, but at the end, after return a string, we would see this version blah, because now it would handle this parameter. And this is the arguments for the main class inside any normal Java application. Of course, when you are going to do Minecraft modding, you won't see this main, because modding Minecraft is totally different. And in that concept, you are using an API and a mod loader, and the mod loader is fetching your code, injecting it inside the Minecraft main program, and well, your code has no main class and no main method. Keep that in mind if you are using Minecraft modding. However, if you are doing just normal Java applications, you should know that these args are valid and can be used like this. If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on that bell so that when I publish a new video, you will get informed. Have fun, everyone. Bye.